Hello, I'm Amanda Rafuse, and this is Spark, the Upper Valley's new arts and culture program here on CATV. We're hoping to spark your interest in the arts by hosting one-on-one conversations that explore the depth and variety of culture here in the Upper Valley, to the amazing people who create and those who administrate, the artists who educate and the generous patrons who donate, the audiences, students, and consumers who enjoy and participate. Welcome to Spark. Hello, and welcome to season 2 of Spark, the Upper Valley's arts and culture show here on CATV. We are back with a whole new set of extraordinary artists, arts leaders, and educators to spark your interest in the cultural life of our community and to learn how they make our shared region an extraordinary place to live, work, and play. A couple of new things this season. If you'd like to listen to these conversations, we're excited to offer Spark as a podcast. And if you have something you'd like to hear about, a comment to share, or if there's a guest you'd love to see on Spark, you can now shoot us an email. We'll give you all of those details at the end of this episode. But today I am excited to welcome to the show Peg Brightman. Peg is a dancer, a choreographer. She's a dance educator with 30 years of professional experience in the field of modern dance. She studied with Merce Cunningham, Jose Limon, Martha Graham, Louis Horst, Bessie Schoenberg, Murray Lewis, Bill Evans, and so many others. For 10 years, Peg was the principal dancer with the national touring company Concert Dance Company. She was the artistic director and resident choreographer for 2 dance companies in Boston before moving to Maine in 2001. There, she began to bring her passion for community building together with her passion for movement by founding Movement Spirit Dancers, an intergenerational dance ensemble. Peg strives to create the sense of community and group connection through her work and developed an integrated approach to teaching choreography, which she calls ChoreoLab. ChoreoLab has been offered to adult dancers of all experience levels in a variety of settings across New England. She relocated to Woodstock, Vermont in 2012, where she created Moving Spirit Vermont, where she continues to create dances for public performance. The group performs several times per year at the North Chapel in Woodstock. In addition to creating and teaching dance, Peg has been creating photography and sculpture for many years, as well as writing poetry, passions which are leading to her current project, a video entitled Our Voices, Bodies Rising, which marries poetry, photography, movement, and film, and is created in collaboration with filmmaker Carla Kimball, who you may remember from season 1. As Peg says, this project forced me to pay attention to the visual and pictorial aspects of dance, all of which we will definitely discuss. You are definitely going to be able to dive deeper into Peg's work at peggybrightmandancer.weebly.com, which will also link you to her visual art and blog pages. And of course, we will post all of that in the episode description on YouTube. How are you, Peg Brightman? Thank you for joining us on Spark.
I'm very well, and thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Well, so to kick us right off, can you just tell me a little bit about how dance first came into your life? How old were you? When did you start? Why did you start dancing?
I was in college and I took dance to get out of the gym requirement because I was hopeless at PE. And I got hooked. I really was a music lover, but I knew I didn't have a particular talent in music. So for me, dance was as close as I could get, is sort of living in the heart of music. And my parents were not very happy about it, but I was smitten. And that, from then on, that's what I had to do.
And what was it about dance that made you smitten? Was it the physical sensation? Was it the group dynamics? What do you think was the strongest heartstring for you?
I think initially it was moving to music.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a sense of community that developed as people met over time. And that was very important to me because I was kind of a loner. So community became my way of being in dance. And later on, when I had my own companies, that was very important, that people would fit together almost like a family and depend on each other. Wow. And dance, if you fall, someone better catch you.
Right, 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 and creating together. And that's interesting that you say, kind of a loner, and yet you were drawn to this, to what is traditionally a very ensemble, a very group art form. Um, that's just it, to sort of create that sense of community for yourself when you needed it is fascinating. You also, it seems like a lot of your work has is really about, and this is just my what I've seen, is about inviting people of all skill levels, of all ages, of all body types, like really making sure that people feel that dance is for them, that you don't have to be, a string bean ballet dancer or whatever. And I just wonder how that came about for you. How did that that kind of mission of inclusivity come about for you?
I started late at age 18, so I already knew that ballet could not be for me, but I did teach in a school of performing arts, and I saw how they were so fixated on the perfect body type and the perfect, perfect look, and ignoring the creativity. And that upset me a lot
Mhm.
because I saw really gifted people who were going to be shunted aside because they had heavy hips or they were broad shouldered. I just thought, this is not right. The world needs all the creativity it can get.
And is that what drew you to form movement, your company in Maine, and then now in
Moving spirit, yeah.
Spirit?
Um, yes. Well, of course, people, I was interested in people who could dance, but I was interested in people who could dance with 10 years experience or 6 months experience. And I had an actor who, a guy, a lot of men are a little insecure about dance, not in Australia, not in Zimbabwe, but
Yeah.
here. Yeah. So he got interested because, of course, an actor, he was used to using his body. He was at ease. So it was actually a great fit. So I was interested in anyone who wanted to dance, who could dance with us. And I had a group of about 5 to 7 people there in Maine. It was great.
That's great. Yeah, that's great. And now the group in Woodstock, Vermont, have you been able to continue your work together over the last couple of years, or how have you managed that to create?
Pandemic shot that down. I mean,
Yeah,
it's really in the way why I created a film.
yeah.
I thought, I am X-rated if I will be stopped here from working. And I wanted to give my dancers, these wonderful creative beings, a chance to shine. So even though we still cannot rehearse in person, we have met occasionally outside. That's just not the same thing. Stepping into a gopher hole just doesn't do it for me.
Mhm.
But that's why the film came into being, because I wanted to keep working. And I thought, well, this is the only way, maybe.
So I would love to show just a little tiny clip of the film. Can you talk about, well, first of all, we've just been talking about dance, but this film really does marry a lot of your passions. Before we started this interview, we noticed the sculptures behind you and the beautiful tapestry behind you, the quilt behind you, and poetry as well as a very important. So how did you come to kind of draw into these other areas of artistic expression?
Well, I wanted to celebrate the centennial of women's suffrage. And my original idea was to do it for Bookstock with poetry and dance, because I thought poetry can speak the journey of women and dance can show it. And
Mm,
then Bookstock got canceled. So that's when I started having a conversation with Carla Kimball, bless her heart, who showed me a way we could give our dancers smartphones
mm,
and follow assignments and go into their own homes and video in response to poetry. So my first job was to find the poetry. And I will first say that I made the big mistake of going for major name poets like Maya Angelou and whatever. And then I made a few inquiries and I found that for 6 months we could use her poem for $200. And I thought, doesn't sound too good.
right.
Because I was thinking maybe like 20 poems, that budget would certainly, explode. So I thought, okay, it's got to be poets I know. Luckily, I belonged to a poetry group, so I already knew 8 or 9 in the area, and I was acquainted with many more. And so I sent out a call. What poems do you have about women's predicament, women's struggle for liberation, women's suffrage? It can be pretty broad.
Yeah.
And the poems came in, and I contributed a few myself, and I found others, and I thought, well, we'll stitch them together. It'll be our libretto.
That's so cool. And some of the pieces, there isn't music actually. So it's literally somebody responding to and having the words of the poem as their score, for lack of a
That's
better
right.
word.
There is a little music in the film, but it's more for transitions. I know it's like backwards.
Yeah,
Usually
yeah.
you're sitting in the theater, here's the music, and here comes the dance. And I really wanted it to come from the place of how do we tell this story, this very complicated and centuries old story of women trying to find a way to have a voice.
Mm. And much of the I love, so you've got local or poets, up and coming poets and poets that and then dancers, again, some professional, some non-professional people in the ensemble. Did you help them with their choreography, or did they create their own pieces? How did that work?
Okay, now if I tell you this, you're going to say, well, she didn't choreograph this at all. Okay, in almost every case, I accepted what they sent.
Okay.
There were a couple of cases where the story that my dancer told me on email, like I was carrying groceries in and my son grabbed a tonic, went ahead of me and slammed the door in my face. And I thought, okay, this is a great story. So I asked her to show it, and it was a little challenging because we needed to see him and we needed the long, anyway. So I kind of sent her back. Can you try again and get a close up of your son? Because he's awfully cute. So these are the things that I would never have thought of on stage. The stage is a wonderful frame, a box, and lighting, but film is really different. You need to see someone's face. You need to have a sense of connection. So, but most of the people did their own choreography in response to, I would say, well, I think this should be about falling, but how you fall, how many times you fall, that's up to you.
That's so wonderful, because you're really empowering people to kind of take creative control of their own story.
Exactly. So the level of creativity I got is like way beyond what I imagined.
Right. Interesting. That's so interesting. And then do you see that this way of working, which is almost devised in some ways versus choreographed, working with someone else and creating something, do you see that influencing how, when we are able to dance together and be together, how you might work in the future, do you think?
I do, because I think that I will trust my dancers' creativity a lot more and maybe set problems for them. Like, okay, how would you feel if you were in an apartment alone on a rainy afternoon? And I might just see what they did.
Yeah.
And maybe shape it a little afterwards. I just think I would take my hands off a bit more.
Yeah. That's really cool, and allow yourself to be a little bit more of the curator.
Exactly. It's like decide what painting you want in your collection, because it's pretty darn good and I couldn't have done it.
Right. So with all of that, and now that we kind of understand how the project came about, I would love to just take a moment and show a little clip from the film, which is not out yet. But one of the clips that I would love to show is actually Marie Fourcaut. And can you tell us a little bit about the poem and the story that goes along with her little segment?
This, I believe, is the one about my husband.
Yes.
Lecturing, yes. I knew Marie slightly. I had seen her perform, and I knew she was an amazing performer and very creative. And we sent her this poem. And her response was to sit in a chair backwards. And I thought, what? I mean, it was bewildering. But then I saw that the sort of dislocation of where she was in space and all that was all about how a woman might make sense of finding herself in a strange place, having to be a mother while her husband's lecturing, and she's trying to change the baby's diaper, and she's trying to enjoy this, but she's really not enjoying it because she's, you know, she's a drudge.
Yeah.
And I thought that Marie did an amazing job of translating that poem into someone's lived feeling of experience.
Wonderful. So with that, we're going to just watch a brief clip of Marie Fourcaut in this wonderful new art project, Our Voices, Bodies Rising.
I didn't want to go to Iran or Pakistan, Japan, or even Hawaii, but I never say so. Dutifully packing up our 3 squirming young children to follow him. And there we are, on the ferry boat, watching Santorini's cliffs rising above us out of the deep Aegean, him knowledgeably lecturing history, me enacting her story, nursing the restless baby, clutching the toddler, providing for posterity, hoping the volcano won't erupt today.
So we're back now, and I am wondering, Peg, with all of the variety of art that you are interested in sculpture, in photography, clearly in quilting as well, in dance, obviously, and now filmmaking and curating work of others. How do you see, you've got such a breadth of interests. How would you encourage, or how would you encourage other people to kind of draw more art into their lives?
I would just say taste, touch, try something new. You know, the fact that I took dance to get out of the gym requirement. Okay, maybe it's not a great, well-paying career for everyone, but I took clay because I was in graduate school and it was one of those things. And I thought, oh my God, because at that age, I knew I was facing the end of my performing career.
Mm-hmm.
All of the work I'd ever done had vanished forever. And suddenly I could put my thumbprint in clay and that gesture was saved forever.
Mm.
So that was really exciting. And I've kept my interest in sculpture, but it's expensive because I do work in bronze. I'll just show you this head here.
Oh, very beautiful.
It's,
yeah.
You know, it's clay, and then you have to go to a foundry and pay thousands of dollars. It's like, okay, don't choose this as a hobby if you're
Right.
a budget. but clay is cheap. And photography, everyone has a smartphone. I mean, it's really amazing when you look at the world around you. There's so many opportunities to just like, oh, what a great shape, or what a great gesture. So I would just say, taste, try, take a course.
Yeah. And what would you say about, what is it about this region or the Upper Valley that that allows people to, I don't know, that it feels extraordinary to me that you have an ensemble of people who are professionals, non-professionals, people who are like, yeah, I want to dance. What do you think it is about this place?
Yeah, that's a good question. I wonder if it's the geography. I've often thought that the winding rivers of Vermont mean that people have to cluster in these river valleys around, and I don't know, the sense of community here is beyond what I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've been in wonderful places, but this is extraordinary, and people are very supportive, and I don't know, word of mouth.
Yeah.
It's a lovely place.
Yeah. So as you asked your dancers in, your ensemble in your new film project to sort of take inspiration from a poem, how would you, is there one thing that you could say to people to get them to move a little bit more in their lives? Or what would you recommend to me and to our viewers for that?
Well, I love Tai Chi myself. I mean, I think you can start with anything that you like. And then feel how good your body feels doing that. That's the essence of dance. Explore how it feels to do whatever you like. And then, make sure you're dressed appropriately. You're doing it in public, but
And then sign up for one of your ensembles. So tell us a little bit, just to kind of wrap us up, how people could get involved with work that you're doing.
Well, I have a small group that works in my church, and that I've been doing for many years. I started doing that in Maine because there was this church and there was a platform there. There might be enough room for 3 or 4 people, who knew? So I got interested in dance because my first company was a temple dancing company. That is, we were all Protestant redhead freckled girls who were signing up to dance in Jewish temples. It was ridiculous and yet totally wonderful. And I realized that dance does have an aspect which is perfect for worship if it's done well. And so that's been an interest of mine that I've continued, and that's my main focus with the church. Obviously, we're not doing anything too rambunctious. We're doing something more thoughtful. And yes, but the film project, maybe I'll do another one, and who knows what it'll become. So if anyone is interested in performing, whether by smartphone or on the grass at this point, they can contact me.
Yeah. And that, are you doing anything with Choreo Lab? Is that still a project?
I'm not doing it at the moment. I have taught it at Artistry in the past, but I love doing it. It's just a matter of like how many things can you do at once while whistling Dixie.
Right. And also, like you said, the pandemic has sort of made those things much more difficult in general.
Yes.
But this is very exciting. It's such a delight to speak with you and to learn more about your work and using, dance and art as a way of bringing people together and sharing an experience regardless of their skill sets. I think that's a wonderful. I appreciate it as somebody who's not a dancer. I appreciate that you're providing that opportunity.
Might be in your wrist, you never know.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us on Spark, Peg. It's been a delight to talk with you.
You're totally welcome.
And thank you for watching. You have been watching Spark, the Upper Valley's arts and culture program here on CATV. Don't forget to subscribe to CATV's YouTube channel, where you can learn more about each guest by visiting their websites as listed in the episode descriptions. And once again, you can visit catv8.org to sign up for CATV's email list, to find links to our new podcast for Spark and to the Spark YouTube channel, and to connect with us by emailing spark@catv8.org. Thank you so much for watching.